from the title, you already seen that I'm going to show you how I made this design for ERD. So let's open Photoshop and let's not waste any more time. Okay, so the first thing I did was to import my image. There are many places where you can download reference images for your designs, such as Unsplash or Raw Pixel. Now I removed the background because I will be working on a black background. I converted the layer into a smart object so I could work on it easier. And now, a very important thing, I opened Camera Filter to work on color grading and lighting. I basically darkened the image and especially the edges so they blend more easily with the black background. When you work on effects, it is simply something subjective. I do it by eye. There are no preset settings for the same result. You simply play with these until you reach the result that you want. Now that I'm done, I use the brush tool to erase the edges and blend them better with the background. I created a new layer in which I added a rectangle as the base for the text I will use. And I chose a shade of red that matched the entire aesthetic. With a custom brush tool, I tried to create this rough edges effect. I did this once and then I chose another brush tool for a stronger look. There are a lot of places where you can get this type of brushes. You can even create them yourself like I usually do. I finished the edges and started adding the text. I chose a font that fits the theme and I placed the whole text in the shape I created earlier. I added some textures over the entire layer using a clipping mask to give it an even more distressed look and to desaturate it. I added some more images behind the main one for composition and did the same with this. I blended the edges and darkened the images to be at the same level as the main one. Then I desaturated them and reduced their opacity. I added a text that represents the brand name over the design and position it so it stood out. The font that I use is called Milton 1, by the way. Then I reduced the opacity. I added a small detail to the bottom elements. I circled the number 13 with a black brush tool to make it stand out more. And finally, I put a texture over the entire design using the blending mode option. Then I imported my mockup and started working on colors and lighting using levels and curves to give it a more realistic appearance. After that, I added the designs to the mockup and used the blending mode. I wanted to add these tears and holes to the sweater because it fits the theme of the design, so I used this image with another sweater and selected only the parts I needed. I used the blending mode to fit the mockup and smoothed the edges. And then I copied the layer to make more. I wanted to add another detail that would give the sweater this destroyed look, so I added these patches. Just by selecting the part of the mockup where I wanted them to be, I copied it to another layer and started playing with the light and colors to give this rough shoot effect. Then, with a custom brush tool, I started applying these textures of tears in the material to the edges. I applied the texture to it and started to make this stitch look where there is this rip effect in the material. Then I grouped the layer and copied it to put it on the other sleeve. Another detail I added are these stitches at the top of the sleeve. I did them the same way with a custom brush tool and reduced the opacity. And for the other sleeve, I didn't copy the previous layer because it's a different shape, so I did that manually. For the label, I added some text to represent the brand logo, of course, and I placed the text to match it, and I desaturated the color to look more real. And for the final touches, I tried to add some shadows to the mockup, so I grouped all the layers, created a new one, and with the black brush tool, I started drawing on top of it. And then I turned it into a clipping mask and reduced the opacity. I wanted the shadows to be more pronounced, so I repeated the same process. And this is how the final design came out. I hope you enjoyed watching the whole process. If you came from TikTok, leave me a follow there too, because I post weekly videos with the clothing designs I make. And if you want to see my entire portfolio, you can find it on Pinterest. So yeah, see you next video.